Well, if you're a 3D artist, and especially if you're an environmental 3D artist, then it's worth your while to know a little bit about photography. And in this video, I'm going to tell you why. Every time you hear that sound, it's basically a photographer capturing a moment, right? And they capture that moment to tell a story. And that's exactly what you do every time you hit that render button. So it's not that different. So here's a great example of framing in a photograph where the photographer used existing elements, in this case vertical columns, to kind of capture the person sweeping the street, right? So that's a perfect example of framing. Now you can frame a subject in many ways. You can use door arches, you can use pillars of a fence, something like that. You can use elements in nature like trees or mountains, or even a simple fence, to frame a cow. So the techniques that we're talking about here are intended to bring focus to a certain object or subject, right? And in this case, the artist used a technique called leading lines. And you can see clearly in this image of this 3D environment that both ridges from left and right are pointing towards that little rock segment in the middle, okay? So a good example. Now, the same artist actually created this environment as well. This one is a bit more obvious, as your eyes will follow the road curving to the right, and that's also an example of leading lines. And sometimes you have 3D setups where you don't really have to do a lot, because the way things are set up, it's automatically pointing towards your topic or subject. Now in this 3D piece, the artist decided to use something else besides framing and leading lines. In this case, he used a light to draw attention to his subject. And here are some more examples of great pieces of art where the artist used light to draw your attention. Well, when it comes to the rule of thirds, that is absolutely famous within photography, and I don't know any photographer who is not aware of that. But funny enough, when it comes to 3D and the 3D world, I rarely hear people talk about it, right? Well, you see it in animated movies all the time, and here are a couple of examples where the rule of thirds helps you to proportionally set up objects in space in a way that's pleasing to the human eye. Okay, so you're probably wondering what you need to do with all this. Should you go out and buy some expensive camera gear and start taking photographs? Well, no, not at all. I mean, you can, of course, but that's not the idea here. The idea is that if you are a 3D artist and you want to step it up a notch and get to the next level, you could consider, to implement composition elements like framing, leading lines and so forth into your workflow to create a better product. Now, I have had a second YouTube channel for quite a while, specifically for this purpose, where I do FX tutorials and camera related and photography related tutorials. So if you want me to pick that up and do more videos on stuff like this, please let me know in the comments, okay? Well, that said, thank you very much for watching and see you guys next time. Bye.